What I got, you can't buy. It resides between my eyes. Walked through the fire, came out better on the other side. See, life's like a beach if you find the sand. Right now, I feel like 100 grand.
You are listening to Inspired Insider with your host, Dr. Jeremy Wise.
Dr. Jeremy Weiss here. I'm founder of InspiredInsider.com, where I talk with inspirational entrepreneurs and leaders like founders of P90X, Atari, now Steve Sims, and how they overcome big challenges in life and business. Our sponsor today is Rise25.com, which helps service professionals, anyone with clients, serving clients one-on-one, shift from one-on-one to working with them one-to-many and not just trading time for dollars. Go to Rise25.com. Check out and download our free Dream Product Ladder. Helps you design your business on one sheet of paper. I am excited. We have Steve Sims, founder of BlueFish, and I will make a bold statement, Steve. Listening to you expands my thinking and universe, because what I love about what you do is every time I listen to what you do for yourself and others, it makes me realize that anything is possible. And Steve started off as a bricklayer, and he's created one of the world's most recognized concierge firms, BlueFish Concierge. And he's the author of Bluefishing, The Art of Making Things Happen. It is a must listen to, a must read. I will listen to it when it comes out. And as he describes it, it's not a gopher service, not an old boys network. It's not a snobby bunch of party crashing showoffs. Don't call them to pick up your dry cleaning. Instead, they offer the highest level personalized travel and entertainment. And there's so much Steve has done. And I know, Steve, you get these questions over and over. Like I was saying, I've listened to 9 hours of video. So I'm going to get to the heart of it. And I'm going to just tell people, you've helped people take submarines to see remains of the Titanic, getting on stage and performing a Journey, going to Elton John's Oscar party, going to the Grammys. You've had someone married by the Pope at the Vatican, a private dinner in Florence in front of Michelangelo's David with Andre Bocelli, Serenade. Anyways, most cherished thing for Steve is his family and friends, and as long as he has enough whiskey and food and motorcycles. So, Steve, thanks for joining me.
It's a pleasure. What an intro. I can go now.
Yep, that's it. So, tell the story about, first of all, we were talking right before weaknesses, and you scratched the whole first book and getting the rights to the audio. So what were you saying about weaknesses and your strengths?
So just to give you the quick story, I got approached to write a book. People had often said to me, write a book. And I didn't want to write a book because if I mentioned any clients in it, I'd probably be dead before cocktail hour. So then it was Tucker Max that actually came up with the idea, and Jason Gaynard, of why don't you focus more on how you do things rather than what you do. Yeah. So that all kind of led to me meeting some phenomenal agents over at Folio that introduced me to Simon Schuster, which ended up getting me a beautiful fat retainer, which bought a very nice motorcycle, and I had a book deal. And I thought, job done. Now I just write a book. Can't be that hard. So delusional as well as stupid. So I got a ghostwriter, and we banged this book out because I'd already got paid. So, in my company, people pay me before I do something. I'd got paid. And quite simply, I fell in the trap of kind of like, well, I've got my money. Good. I'm very happy. I've got a very healthy retainer on it. And we wrote this book. And I remember reading this book, and I suddenly got overwhelmed. And they all say this kind of aha moment. I have no kind of, I was in a car crash, or I lost my left testicle to this. I have none of those aha moments. But I woke up at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I was panicked. And it's very stupid. I was panicked about Bert. I'd had this dream about this guy, Bert. I don't know anyone called Bert, but I dreamed about this guy called Bert walking through the airport, looking in a bookstore, seeing my book, picking it up, and then reading it on the plane on the way home. And I thought, I've just given this guy a lump of garbage. I've just given him something to help me get my retainer. And that made me feel, so I phoned up the morning. I woke up in the morning. I went, this is shit. I've got to make sure.
What was bad about it? What didn't you like about it?
It didn't flow. And it was more kind of, hey, I did this, and then I did this, and this was really good. It was great story time reading. If you had a couple of cocktails and you wanted to sit around a fireplace, you'd have probably loved it. But what I felt was that this book was to get you over your excuses, and I've always said I'm a bricklayer and doorman from East London. what other excuse have you got? Because people go, oh, he must have had a silver spoon. Oh, he must have had billions. He must have known someone very wealthy. I was working on the door of a brothel in Hong Kong, and now I run the world's greatest concierge, phoning up some of the biggest people in the planet. And you know that.
Yeah.
So there are no excuses that you can go toe-to-toe with me on. And that kind of got me very passionate and energetic that I didn't want to give you a cocktail story.
Yeah.
I wanted to give you a hack.
You had to realize of like a theme. Like this was a bigger message that you wanted to get out there.
And that's where it started coming down to. It started coming down to a lot of people are frightened of everyone says, oh, look at the big picture. The big picture scares a lot of people. So if I said to you, hey, I want you to get someone married in the Vatican, you go, oh, you can't do that. Well, at the end of the day, it's only a church. It's only a public location. So if you break it down to what it actually is, really isn't that terrifying. It's about as terrifying as getting the city hall to agree. Yeah. So the steps are exactly the same. So we rewrote a book based on the art of making things happen, how we actually do something. Right. And yes, we did this with Andrea Bocelli. Yes, we did this with Sir Elton John. But you can do this for a kiddie's birthday party or opening up a florist or marketing a new widget. So that's why we rewrote the second book, canned the first one. So this is actually our second book, but the first one that will ever see the light of day.
You know, I would love the first one to be a bonus of the second one. So I just want you to consider that. Anyone who gets that, maybe they should get the bonus one, the first one, as a bonus, and let them be the judge.
Yeah. Maybe
so just think about that.
Maybe that's something. Yeah.
Because that has me intrigued. I want the first one. It's kind of like, you know, Star Wars. You start with like the third or whatever, the later one, and you come back. So what you thought there was an interesting story about the audio rights.
So working with Simon Schuster, they contacted me one day and they said, look, we've got an offer to do the audiobook. And I said, oh, that's fantastic. And they said, yes, we've got people to interview for it and to read a part of a chapter. We've had, and I don't know how many people they had, like about 9 or 10 people. We've selected these 3 as our favorite. This is the email I got. And there were 3 voice memo things. Number 1, number 3, and number 7. And I listened to these, and these came through my agent. So Simon Schuster had sent them to my agent had sent them to me, and I listened to these 3 Americans trying to put on a British accent.
There was an authentic British accent.
No, it's the only audiobook with subtitles. So I actually went back to him, and I said, I've got an old English bulldog, and his left testicle sounds better than any of these. However, if I had to choose, I'd choose number 7. And I sent that back to my agent. My agent, in all of his skills, sends it direct to Simon Schuster, who come back said, well, if your dog's left testicle's not available, would you be willing to audition? Yeah. And so I actually auditioned for the book.
They make you audition for your own book?
They actually made me read a chapter to see if anyone could understand what the hell I was saying. So I auditioned, and I got the book. So
good for you.
I got locked in a porta potty for about 2 days, which no light, no fresh air, and it was just horrible. It sounded a lot more exciting when I got the deal than when I actually did it.
So it's coming out. You will have an Audible version of Bluefishing.
It's done.
Okay.
I'm unsure when this gets released, but it's out very shortly, if not out already.
All right. I'm getting it. I want to talk about no excuses. This is about mindset and no excuses. And from a bricklayer. So I want you to talk about your kids, right? You grew up and you were bricklaying, your family bricklaying. It was back-breaking work. You hated it, right? And you say in the book, I'm going to hate my teen self for saying this, but it's one of the best things that happened to you. How do you instill that bricklaying mentality in your kids? Because I know you have 3 kids. Tell me about. Yeah, I do. I'd love to hear about how you're raising them and what you're doing with them.
There is no harder job than parenting, and any parent out there knows that. Yeah. And we all get it wrong. And then the kids grow up and they get kids and they go, well, I'm going to do things differently, and they get it wrong. And it's a constant. There is no book that tells you how to do it. Yeah. And by the age of 13 years old, with and even younger with YouTube and everything like that, they're seeing more of Little Wayne than they are of you. So, you're always competing against new things.
Could be a scary thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it is scary as hell. I'm hearing people that my boy talks about, he's 11. I don't even know who they are, but he's downloaded and subscribed to them. So there's a lot of elements to get in the way and hurdles to get in the way. As you fell over a lot, I'm talking about me and most parents, we try to avoid our kids going through that same pain.
Yeah.
What I did actually realize was it's the pain that makes me realize how strong I actually am and what I can handle.
Right.
You get a punch in the head and you don't die and you go, all right, I can get a punch in the head.
Right.
You get more stuck in. But you see so many people very scared of things that the scare becomes the scare itself. So with me, my kids want the pocket money. Great, you got to hoover out the car. You want to go down the pub and you want some extra cash for the gas tank. Absolutely, I've got a bike there that's been on the track. Detail it and clean it. So I'm very, and you have your arguments with your kids, but you've got to, in your heart, know that you're doing it for their benefit. But I really do. Actually, I'm doing a party, as you know, for the launch of the book in Los Angeles. My boy's 11, and he reckons he's a bit of a whiz at Photoshop. So I said to him, fine, within 24 hours, I want 3 invites designed. And he designed 3 invites on Photoshop for the invite.
Yeah.
I'm going to use one of them, and I paid him for the one I used. I didn't pay him for the effort. I paid him for the product.
Yeah.
And I try to teach people that lesson, that you're paid to actually do something, not think about it or plan it. So.
Yeah, because I love it's a mindset. It's no excuses. And also, so you've been with your wife since you were 16. You met her when you were 16, right?
Yeah, I was 17. She was 16.
How would she say you've changed? Like, you still say, like, I'm simple. I just like whiskey, food, motorcycles. How would she say you've changed since when you were younger till now? Maybe it's a mindset. I don't know. What would she say?
Probably that I'm an incredibly good-looking man. The fact that she's not here, she can't defend that. When I was a young lad, and you just kind of like touched on it earlier. When I was a young lad, I used to ride around on a motorcycle south of London, black T-shirt, jeans, enjoying whiskey and beer. Okay, I wanted to get out of that life. What I hadn't realized was that life was more authentic than some of the lives that you get outside of it. Everyone's walking around in a suit and their credit card's maxed out so that they've got an expensive watch on, trying to tell you that they've got millions in the bank. There's so many lies when you get in that. You walk in a pub, you annoy someone, they punch you in the head. It's a very, very, very easy existence there.
Keeps people in check, right?
It does. But there's just people in the world you just don't mess with. And in my kind of life as I was growing up, I learned to kind of talk my way out of it, know when, okay, the talking's over, the action starts. I learned all of those things. So now I get into this piranha pit of all of these people trying to kind of like tell me, oh, I'm this, I'm that, oh, I'm very important. And all of this BS, and especially with social, I've got that great bullshit radar right from the start. So as I started to get richer, and I say richer, not wealthy, as I got richer, i.e. bank account money, I tried to change. I physically went, ooh, people have got to take me seriously now. I better get a nice car. I better start taking out my earrings. I
don't see you ever doing that. That's the funny thing.
Yeah, no, I did. And that was my aha moment. I actually became someone I wasn't. And it was very upsetting and it was very scary. And my finances started to go down. The people I used to resonate with, no longer did I resonate with. The people that were in my Rolodex had money, but they were a-holes. And I was like, hang on a minute, this is going the wrong way. Yeah. So I ditched it all. And I put my earrings back on and went back to my black T-shirt, riding on bikes. And now I've gone full circle. I don't have a car. I have a few more than just one motorcycle now, so I'm very fortunate there. But I've gone back to the man that I was when I started. I'm very transparent. I'm impossible to misunderstand. I'm a great friend. I am your worst enemy. I'm very simple as an individual. There is no onion on the other side of this Skype.
Yeah. It's tough. It's kind of like keep up with the Joneses and people feel like they need to impress, and you realize that pretty quickly probably, because I think I can only find one picture on the internet with you in a suit, and that's it. But
I wear a suit every year for Elton John's party because I love getting dressed up in it. It's the only time I get dressed up in my penguin suit, and we get to walk down the white carpet. He has a white carpet, not a red carpet, because he's Elton John. And you're walking down the white carpet, and Charlie Sheen's in front of you, and Steven Tyler's behind. It's just one of those times you go, oh, this is kind of funny. And I remember, funny enough, because they back you up. What you don't get to see on TV is you get to see a couple of people on the red carpet, and they're kind of like waving and they're talking. You don't see everyone backed up at the edge of the red carpet, and then they go, okay, next 3, next 4, next 3. You don't see that bit. And I was behind Steven Tyler, and I said to him something about, on the white carpet, or something like that, or, something about, you ready for the white carpet? And he turned around, and and I'd met him a few times, been in a very vulnerable statement. He looked at me basically into my soul, and he said, you know what? They never see the journey it took for us to get to this red carpet.
Yeah. And
then he just turned around. I was like, wasn't expecting that. But, it was quite important. I do realize that no one remembers the times that I was damn near bankrupt, the amount of lawsuits, how I got screwed over, how I got beat up. Just no one remembers all of that stuff. They just look on social, see you stood there with Elon Musk at, SpaceX, and go, oh, he's lucky. They don't remember what you went through to get to where you are.
100%. Yeah, I mean, that's the question people ask you, right? How'd you get Andrea Bocelli? And you're like, well, it was like 20 years of connections and hard work and sending handwritten notes to people, and that's how I did it, right?
Yeah, they don't know the journey. I'm a great believer in leapfrogs. If I need to get to someone, I will find someone else that they respect and someone in my circle, and I will get them to introduce me. If I come straight to you, I'm a self-promoter. If I get someone that you trust, phone you up and go, hey, Jeremy, yeah, he's a weird fella, and he looks like George Clooney, but still listen to him regardless. Right. Then you will go, oh, okay, no, and I have that. So when I needed Andrea, I'd already been working at the Vatican. I went through the Vatican, and people tend to pay attention when you get phoned up by the Vatican.
But so there's a mindset piece, but there's also a concept I love what you talk about is one of the ways you can help people achieve whatever their bucket list items are is you make it a win-win. And the Andrea Bocelli is an example, right? Can you talk a little bit about that? Because you supported him, not just the money piece, but you supported more.
Yeah, we had a client. So to give you the full aspect, we had a client that gave us the challenge of I want the most exclusive restaurant in Florence. And anyone that knows Florence knows that there are no exclusive restaurants. That's the whole point of Tuscan living. That's the beauty of it. You're in a restaurant one night, you leave, and you've now got 22 extra members of your family. So we had to design one for him. So we had to pick the most iconic place in Florence. We chose the Accademia because of Michelangelo's David. We talked them into allowing us to have a dinner in there. And they don't even have food and drink in this place, which is hilarious. We had a dinner there, and then we wanted to see how far we could take it getting the most iconic singer in Italy to sing. So when we reached out, we knew what we wanted. And it's very easy. When people go forward, they are fully prepared in what they get out of the conversation. Masterfully prepared. So what we always tell people is when you go to someone, be as prepared as to what they get, because there's an old idea that you can get your foot in the door and you can get in that door, but you want to be in a situation where you are so irresistible they don't want you to leave.
Yeah,
that's the key. So when we go to someone, we know what we want. We want Andrea Bocelli to play. What's the benefit for him? 9 times out of 10, the cheapest commodity, the most vulgar commodity in the world to approach anyone like this is finances. You phone someone up tomorrow and you go, hey, I'd like to do this. How much? Now, unless you're getting someone to do your lawn or fix your roof or something like that, which is a transaction. But if it's a relationship, you want Elon Musk to come and speak at your event. You get through to Elon and go, hello, Mr. Musk. Yeah, how much for you to be here on Tuesday? He's going to hang up on you. He's not even going to ask. So you've really got to go into someone saying, hey, bear with me a second, but I want to talk to you about your blah, 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 blah. I have a situation in which I feel as I can benefit it.
Yeah.
Now, with the Andrea Bocelli, they have a foundation. They have a cancer foundation. So we went in there saying, hey, thank you very much for taking my call, but I want to talk about what you've got there because I've got something that I feel could benefit this.
Yeah.
And so you're going into it for a win. You're getting what you want out of it as long as they get something equal.
Yeah. And I think, if memory serves correct, you had like 48 hours, right?
Yeah,
to make that
this
happen.
was crazy. I was in Rome on the Sunday. I got asked to do this on the Monday morning. I was in Rome.
It's not like you had a year advance. Like try and do this a year from now.
Yeah, it was on a Monday, and this was for the Wednesday night. And we got Andrea on the Tuesday morning. So we spent all Monday trying to find the location, and then that's what we did for the Andrea was on the Tuesday. It was a phenomenal event. Phenomenal.
That's amazing. And, a lot of times with entrepreneurs like yourself, you make it a win-win. And it's not just about the bucket list, but it's also about pulling in great philanthropic causes. Because I remember one guy, the Journey story, right? But he tied that into raising money for autism.
Yeah.
Right?
Again, this is all about going to someone that benefits them first.
Yeah.
Or the perception. Let's be blunt. The perception that it benefits them first. So when we had the gentleman that wanted to sing with Journey, we had to get them on our side. And it was very easy to get, a couple of tickets backstage to meet and greet or, get them in. But to actually do something, we had to get them engaged.
Yeah.
So we had to get something that made them go, oh, you've got my attention. So when we were speaking to him, we actually discovered that the drummer's son had autism and was a great supporter of Autism Speaks.
Right.
And Dan's brother's son also had autism. You didn't have to be Einstein to connect the dots and go, well, hang on a minute, let's wrap this around autism,
right.
Carry the flag of autism, and everything we do, we market autism. Whether it was the band, the photographer, the websites, the emails, afterwards, anything, we gave a blast out for Autism Speaks, which means that we still have that relationship with Journey.
So, and I know you have a foundation. Talk about some of the other philanthropic tie-ins to what you do.
Foundations. There are people that work in foundations that are taught to not let anything happen smoothly and to basically just say no to everything. We went through recessions this century, or this decade, should I say, where we found a lot of rich people were using foundations to take money out. So foundations are heavily looked at by the government, and the red tape around foundations and charities is insane. And you always get the 90-year-old woman that's only just working out how to do an email the other end of the foundation. So what we've done is we've gone out there and we've spent many years getting involved in a lot of financial projects, the Grammys, the Kentucky Derby, the New York Fashion Week, Monaco Grand Prix. We also now try to get involved in as many events as possible that look after a lot of lifestyle and disease. We try to get involved in cancer foundations. We try to get in AIDS research. We try to get involved in AMFAR, Leonardo DiCaprio's water.org. Any of these things that we can get involved in where there is a good reason behind it for them to be getting this money.
Yeah. So any close to your heart in particular?
It's always hard. It's like picking your favorite child, which depends on the day.
Right, exactly. That can be an easy question depending on the day.
That's an easy one. Yeah, who is it today? But I'm a great supporter of Scott Campbell and Elton John with the AIDS Foundation. Mm-hmm. I ask myself the question, why does this disease still exist? And equally, through personal and to a lot of people's personal cancer. These are two things that I just scratch my head going, why are we sticking people on the moon and in space and stuff like that where, there's these things here. Yeah. I'm not a scientist, but I am a why guy. I'm always like, why is this still here? Why are we in this century and this still happens? Yeah. So if I get someone come to me and they say, hey, we're doing this and it's for cancer, I'm doing this, it's for AIDS, I'm like, all right.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned earlier, this journey is to get to the white carpet or red carpet. What were some of those big challenges, those setbacks that you had? Besides,
being comfortable in me. Have you ever heard of something called ugly baby syndrome?
Yes.
Yeah. So I actually had this guy. Big shout out to Jason if he's listening, who actually came to me once and said, "You got ugly baby syndrome." And I was like, "What the hell's that?" But I would hold on to everything, and I felt as an entrepreneur that I had to therefore control and do everything. And quite simply, there was a ton of stuff that I couldn't do. So learning to get out of your own way and learning that delegating is not detaching. Mm-hmm. It's just assigning responsibility.
Yeah. You wanted to do everything. Is that why?
I did do everything.
Yeah.
I would employ someone to do the website, and then I'm over their head. I remember when we had a website done, I was over this person's head going, well, I wanted to do this, and then that comes in, and then when you push that button, it goes, and like fireworks go there. And I designed my own website, and the guy's like, yes, but we can do that. And we get, yeah, that's great, but it's got to go over there. So I wanted to control it.
Yeah.
And at the end, I remember this. He brought me down. He went, I'll show you your website now. And he showed me this website. And I was sat there. Well, I was stood there watching it over his shoulder, and I couldn't see his face. And I'm thinking, this is the ugliest piece of garbage ever. But everything does what I've asked it to do, and it's the color schemes and what I'm like. And then he just went, and this is what I think it should look like. And then he opened up his page, and I was like, oh, God, thank you so much. And I realized that I need to realize, and Joe Polish talks to you about this, if someone can do something you can do, at minimum as good as you can do it, pay them to do it. And as Dan Sullivan says, don't focus on your weaknesses, otherwise you end up with some really strong weaknesses. Just get somebody else to do it. So, and I've now gone completely the other way of ugly baby syndrome. I get a project in it, and I detach that project into as many slices as I can, and I go, right, okay, you handle that, the invites, that goes over there, the page, the logistics, the cars, the catering, blah, 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 blah. Oh, there's the bit that I've got to do. Yeah. Okay, I found that little nugget that no one else in my crew can do. I'm going to do this.
Yeah. Talk about that. What's the bit you are best at and you love doing? What is that?
Well, that's the two things. God, I hate to say the next word, but I'm quite good at getting people to do what I want them to do. So I'm very good at positioning. Yeah.
Well, it's a win-win, right? You position it in a win-win. So
it has to be a win-win.
Yeah.
If I speak to my friends now, and that's the other thing, when you build up these relationships, they become friends. I haven't worked in the Vatican for 2 years. I still communicate with them. So if you have these relationships and you have these friends and you go, hey, I need this done, they go, yeah, I'll do you a favor. No, I want no favor from you. Not now, not ever. I want a whiskey with you. I want to hang with you. I want to go dancing on the cobblestones with you, but I want no favors out of you. So what can I do for you? I had a client the other day. I needed him to do something for me in Miami. He was going up to New York. I got him some really good tickets for Hamilton. And I just went, we're good. I had another guy that wanted to meet Britney Spears. Don't know why, but he did. So I arranged that. So
don't ask questions.
Don't ask questions. I never ask questions. So I just wanted to make sure that they are covered to get what they want, so that when I call again, it's not a favor on top of the favor, on top of a favor. The favor's gone. Do you remember I asked you to do this and you got this? I'll give you this. Can I get this? And so it goes that way.
And I know you've said another common question you get is what's on your bucket list? And you're like, there's not much. But I'm curious has there been anything in your wife's bucket list that you've been able to do?
Oh, dear. All right. So she's just left. I will make sure she never sees this.
I want her to see this. I'm sending this to her.
Yeah, thank you. So years ago, years ago, I realized that I hate Hallmark. I hate Hallmark because they make money out of me buying some chintzy little card to give you on your birthday. So we
I'm in complete 100% agreement.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah, I'm not there to keep Hallmark in business.
Yeah.
So what I started doing was I started celebrating Happy Tuesday, and Freaky Friday. So randomly, she'll get like some flowers, and I'll book a meal, and I'll be like, "It's Freaky Friday. Did you miss it? Did you not know?" And so it's a standing joke. But on her birthday and Christmas, she gets nothing. No card, no. And I know everyone's out there going, "Woo, bastard, horrible wanker."
Boo.
She gets nothing. But what I do is I provide her with an experience. And she is crapping her pants every year because all the way through the years, I've sent her skydiving, unarmed combat with Navy SEALs. I sent her shooting with the head of one of the Navy SEAL teams. I won't tell you who the captain was, but one of the serious ones that went out there and did the business, went out shooting all this machinery. She's done Formula One driving. She's met heroes like Sting. But she'll go, "Oh, that'd be nice." And nowadays she goes, "Oh, that'd be nice. Don't you do that." And she suddenly kind of realized. So last year, and because years ago we used to do some work with Ferrari, and then when I came here I did some work with Porsche, and we actually had a Porsche, and that was the car that we fell in love with. As I say, I don't have a car now, and we got kids, so you end up with the mandatory big trucks.
Right.
She's got an SUV. So last year I sent her to the Porsche racing experience with a Porsche Le Mans winning driver who basically taught her how to drive and then scared the shit out of her for like a 2-hour learn to race a Porsche racing car. This year, she's 50. And
I can't even imagine.
This, put it this way, it's not in this country. She doesn't even know that. But it's a
lot of these are surprises, Steve. Like, are they surprises that she doesn't know, or is a lot of she knows?
She wakes up in the morning, and she has no idea. And even now, she's like, "I'm 50."
She's scared.
She said, "Don't make me run away to England. Don't make me disappear so you can't find me." And I'm like, "Babe, you'll love it." And a couple of times, like the skydiving.
Yeah, what's the one she hated you the most afterwards?
Skydiving and motor racing. She likes cars. She liked the Porsche, but I put her actually in a race car. And when you're in a race car, you've only got your helmet and you're about that far off of the floor. The sensation of speed is far greater, like on a go-kart.
Yeah.
And we had guys there really pushing her, and she wasn't too happy about that one in the skydiving.
I would have freaked out. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, the skydiving, she landed pretty badly. She didn't pick her knees up fast
You're like,
enough.
"You're trying to kill me on my 50th birthday?"
Yeah, so those two didn't go well. We did have a shark experience as well.
A shark?
But,
great white? What was it?
It was in Florida to actually get into. They had these sharks so you could actually get into a pool with no cage.
What?
And she said no. So I was like, "Okay then." So the standing joke is, "When have I got it wrong?" And she's like, "I can count 3 times you've got it wrong." And I'm like, "Well, that's in the past." So
what did you
this year's going to be good.
What did you consider the scariest that someone actually did? Like from
Sorry?
you were actually fearful, like whether it was getting in a shark tank or something, that someone actually came to you and they wanted to do it, and you were scared for them that they wanted to do it.
You stopped me in my tracks there. I don't know if it's because I'm stupid, but I don't actually get scared.
Not for you, for them, no? Nothing.
No, because if I'm scared for them, then they're going to get scared, and therefore the fear is going to become alive, But I remember one of the greatest lines ever, and I don't know if you can remember where this came from, but it was called "Fear causes hesitation, and hesitation will cause your worst fears to come true." Do you remember where that's from?
No, I don't.
Point Break.
Cipher. Great movie, yeah.
Great movie, but I just remember when he said that line, I was like, damn, you're right. The fear is the fear itself. And the more it gets scary, the bigger this animal of fear becomes. So I look at something and I will just try and be cold about it. And I will try again to dismantle it. And I will go, well, okay, what's the worst case scenario? If I walk in there and I get a smack in the head, you know, or I could get shot. All right, I don't want to be shot, but I don't mind a smack in the head, you know. So I try to weigh it up, and I always try to look to my worst downside, and then kind of like scale it back a little bit from there. And I do that with motorcycle racing. I do that when I'm boxing. I always try to analyze what's the worst thing that can happen here.
Yeah.
And I look at it and I go, oh, that's not a risk I'm willing to take. So I therefore I don't get to that point where I go, I'm scared, because when you get scared, you get hopeful, and you're sitting there going, I hope this goes on. I'm not leaving it to chance.
Right.
I'm not going to do it. If I'm starting to feel nervous about something, that doesn't happen.
Yeah. I'm curious, Steve, what's the hardest thing you pulled off? And what I mean is, someone may see, okay, pulling off that the Vatican being mirrored by the Pope is hard, but for you, maybe that wasn't as hard as what it looks like. What on the under the surface was harder to pull off than like one of the hardest things that you've actually pulled off, like behind the scenes?
Yeah, I'd like to maybe say the most challenging.
Yeah, most challenging.
So when the good thing about it is 20 odd years later, being able to read off the toolbox of achievements that you did earlier, when we go to anyone, we can go forward saying, hey, before you answer my call or speak to me, I'd like to show you my top 20 things I did last month.
Right.
You know,
right.
And they go, whoa, okay, what do you need? So I have that credibility to go into every conversation.
Right.
And the bigger it is, to be honest with you, the kind of easier it is. I don't want to jinx myself, but if you've got that reputation, that helps you. Mm-hmm. It's when that reputation doesn't come into play.
Right.
Like, for argument's sake, if you're trying to kind of like handle an elephant, the elephant doesn't give a crap who you are. So it's those elements where your reputation doesn't help you. I have a client that every year, and I really like this one, I try not to cry on it, every year for his anniversary, and he's been married forever, he does something absolutely wonderful for his wife. And the budgets have gone from like $25,000, I think the most was probably about $400,000 for a weekend.
Wow. To
do something to celebrate. And it's always big, private jets and taking over diamond mines and just like these palaces in Russia and just, you know, czars. And just it's big, you know, reenacting an 18th century village. It's always been that kind of stuff. So he contacted me because we were coming up to one of his key years, and I think it was the 20th. And he's like, 20th, Steve, you know. And his wife knows me, so she knows it's going to be something. It's like the 20th, you know, this is the 20th, you know, this is big. And I'm like, it is big. So we've got to make it, you know, big. And so I always talk to the people.
You're egging them on, yeah.
I want to get to the root of it. I want to get to the core. So I'm like, yeah, this has got to be big. This has got to be. And I remember him using this word. This has got to be impactful. And I went, okay. Taking over the Eiffel Tower is big. Is it impactful? Not when you compare it to some of the other stuff, you know?
Yeah.
So I went, all right, let's have a chat. Talk to me. When did you first meet her? You know, well, I met her at college. How did you meet her? Oh, God, it didn't go smoothly. Most introductions don't. The girls play hard to get. And I said, so, you know, talk me through it. So we tried talking to her, and it hadn't gone very well. And, you know, there was a little bit of a break in the armor that he thought he was getting somewhere. So one day, he knew which way she went to college and went out for her dinner break. He set up a little, what they call a car rug, you know, which is those like big check carpets. And he laid it down, and he got a hamper with sandwiches in it and some champagne in there. And he had a boombox that was playing this like romantic music. And as she came out of the college room, he sat on that rug, plays the music, offers up a glass of champagne. He said, will you join me? Now, as a college student, that's pretty cool, isn't it?
For sure.
Okay?
Yeah.
He's the head of a company now. So I said to him, why don't we recreate the first moment you met?
That's really awesome.
Okay? So we thought this is going to be by far the cheapest thing. So where are you? Yes, it's summer, so there should be no rain. Get a rug. Do you remember what the rug was like? He was like, maybe you had to find a picture. And he found an old picture of when his family was on that rug. So we got a tartan rug that looked the same. Wow. He described the hamper. We got the hamper. Of course, the sandwiches were a little bit better than the sandwiches he'd had then. The champagne was a nice champagne. Had to be in plastic glasses for the reason you're in a public park. But here's where it came challenging, okay? Finding a boombox that Run DMC would be proud of that actually worked. So we went scouring eBay and all of these audio specialist stores. We went through 2 that didn't work. Finally found one that was mint condition and worked. And we were so impressed with ourselves when it came with the demo tape to show that it works. Now here, think about this. This is where it gets silly. We got the rug, we got the hamper, we got the food, we got the drink, we've now got the boombox, okay? How do you record onto that boombox from any of your MP3 players or any of your Apples or anything like that? All of the cables, we're looking at this thing going, where do the cables go? So we couldn't actually record onto this system. So that's when I contacted, one of the benefits of living in Hollywood, that's when I contacted a fellow.
Look, there's this thing I need. It's called, I think, like an audio cassette tape.
Yeah. That was the other thing. We had to order one online because, again, nowhere sells cassettes. So we had to buy a pack of 3 or whatever and then send them to him and get him to just put the music on it we liked. But, and I think the whole thing, the most expensive thing was probably that mint condition boombox. But this all happened for less than a couple of grand. Wow. And that was challenging because there was so much riding on the intricacy and the detail of that it had to be spot on.
Right.
And as we all know, and again, this is a Dan Sullivan thing, your mind polishes the past. I didn't want her remembering the rug to be green. We were very fortunate to get that picture. But we had to make it as near as perfect. But that was the most challenging, rewarding, and probably the most impactful.
I love that. Thanks for sharing that, Steve. I mean, you really dig deep with these people to figure out deep down what is going to be the best experience for them. It may be things that they're asking. They may ask you for things, but you're going a lot deeper than what they're asking for, it sounds like.
At this level, rarely have I ever given anyone what they asked for.
Right.
The guy that sang 4 tunes live on stage with Journey in San Diego, his request to me was to meet the guys.
Yeah.
You know, the guy that got the table of 6 at the feet of Michelangelo's David, serenaded by Andrea, wanted an exclusive restaurant.
Yeah.
So the guy that wanted to get married in the Vatican had no idea we were going to get the Pope involved. Yeah. So I really try to. This will probably go on my tombstone. I want to affect people's smiles. I want someone to wake up at 2:00 in the morning or to be stood there during a cocktail hour and someone says, oh, you know, I'm going over to Italy, do you know, and then go, actually, I've got to tell you a story. And I want them to just be glowing and I want them, my clients, to have the coolest cocktail stories you can get.
Right. Yeah. I want to encourage people to, if you have a bucket list, if you don't, write down. And, you know, every time I listen to you, Steve, and I expands my mind. I said in the beginning, it's a bold statement, but I'm sticking by it. When you listen to what you talk about and what you help people do, it expands their mind of what's possible. And even what people think's possible, you're taking it beyond whatever their wildest dreams may be. So thank you for this. Thank you for the book. People should check out Bluefishing, The Art of Making Things Happen. And I just want to wrap things up with what else should people know about the book? I don't know if there's a favorite story or a lesson we didn't talk about. What should they know about the book that we haven't talked about yet?
I don't want you to get the book if you think it's going to change your life, because it isn't. It's going to give you steps that can, but only when you stand up and action them. Yeah. And I want people to realize that this is written by a doorman from East London, and therefore you have no excuse to be able to do 3 times as much as what I've done. So you're out of excuses. Each book at the end of each chapter has a very, very simple playbook on what you need, what the action items are that you can take away and place into anything. So you can read any chapter you like. You don't have to fall all the way through the book in line. You can pick certain chapters, but it's an action book. It's not like these people that buy a diet book.
You don't want people to passively sit back, listen to this, read this, and not do anything. The point of this is to that's the subtitle, the art of actually making things happen.
Yeah, I'll give you the art, but you have to make it happen.
Yeah. Thank you, Steve. Always fantastic. I really appreciate it.
Appreciate it, bud. Thank you very much for having me.
What I got, you can't buy. It resides between my eyes. Walked through the fire, came out better on the other side. See, life's like a beach if you find the sand. And right now, I feel like $100 grand.